Hey, 218 Grow Guy here. It is Tuesday, May 26th. It's about 3:27 in the afternoon. A beautiful day here in the Northland. I've been out cutting grass and doing a lot of outdoor chores, and I got to go run off to the boat place to get my son's boat. And hopefully when I'm all said and done with that and I get back here, I have enough time to do some plant maintenance because they are in so desperate need. If nothing else, I'll throw in a quick little clip of how they're looking right now. If I got to get to the maintenance tomorrow, then I'll do a full video on everything that I need to do there. So yeah, other than that, this is just a moment in time in the life of the 218 Grow Guy. I'll be checking back in later. Well, coming in from the hoop house, gotta say that the autos are still kind of doing their thing. These over here are now starting to look more like a plant than something that's suffering. Might have to, I don't know, still pretty heavy, so I don't know if I need to be doing any watering. Over here, that little auto's doing all right. Greens are looking spectacular. Peppers are up. I got one that seems not to be doing so well. Over here, though, I don't know. They were looking so nice a while ago. Now they all look dead. Oh, well. All right, let's go in and check in on what I'm going to be working with today. This is the one that's going to be getting most of my attention today. Going in here, defoliaging, cleaning her up. But once again, like I said, this particular plant was germinated and put into flower at the same time as the ones over in my other room. And like I said, since the introduction of this new light I got up there, I just can't really look directly at it. It's so bright. But with the introduction of that light, this plant here is doing absolutely amazing. And if we compare that to these over here under my old lights there, you'll see that not as big, not as vibrant, but this plant here is still doing its thing. Today I'll be topping off my reservoirs. Like I said, I won't be doing too much cleaning on this plant here. This one will be getting a little bit defoliaged, and I kind of be taking y'all through a journey of my nutrients and what I'm doing and how I'm mixing and why I'm mixing, and y'all will be able to get to see me kind of going to town and putting in work over here. So that's about where things are at. I'm gonna take a pause for the call, start getting things set up and ready to rock, but today is all about garden maintenance. So I think what I'm going to be doing is just going through this particular plant here and just getting rid of a lot of this lower foliage you see just kind of hanging out down there. And I'll be going around just snipping little stuff off that. And typically I'm only going to be taking these leaves that fall under my net. So anything that's up here above the net, I'm going to be leaving status quo. And then just kind of dropping them down there. I'll be coming back through here and like I said, now that this plant is so big, I'm not going to risk trying to pull it from this location. So I got to be crawling around up under here, cleaning all this under foliage out, and then I can kind of stand over the plant and take care of some of the bigger stuff going that way. But yeah, that's kind of what's popping off with me today. I'm just going to be coming through here and just taking some of these leaves that really ain't serving no purpose. And then once again, keep in mind that, like I said, how a plant feeds, it starts to feed everything from the bottom, moving up So if you have lower foliage down here, it's going to be feeding that part of the plant as well, and those nutrients are going to get wasted and diluted by the time they get up to these branches that is going to produce most of your buds and most of your quality buds. So, and like I said, I'm not going to be taking off too much flowers down here, because I believe that this particular light is strong enough to go ahead and really penetrate down through there to give all these lower buds down here some pretty good size. So we're going to be testing that theory and seeing if it's true or false. But for right now, I'm going to chalk it up as a truth and see what happens. So I'm not going to bore y'all with all the details of me sitting around here cleaning up this whole plant. So I'll be back when I get ready to move off to my next stage, and that would be refilling this bucket and seeing where my PPMs, my nutrients, fall at, if I'm going to be adding anything more to it, or if I'm just going to be leaving it status quo. So with that said, I'll be checking back in here in a bit. And I don't know if you can see that, but she already, a sticky plant, sticky. So this here is my refill bucket, 5-gallon bucket, pH'd, and in there I have about 5 milliliters of my Orca, which is just good bacteria, and then I also have my Cal Mag. These two are always in my refill bucket at all times and nothing else. So when I refill this, and I think these two together on my ppm meter with my water comes out to about, it'll give me like a reading of 400. So when I add this into my bucket and I take my ppm reading, whatever it comes up at, I have to minus that 400 to know how many nutrients I got in there. And just to give you an idea of just how much this plant has drank, if you can see down in there, I mean, I'm probably down to like maybe a quarter of water left in that bucket. So this one is, because of just the size of it, it's just a pure just drinker. So what I like to do is I use my handy dandy transfer pump over here, a couple D batteries in there, and just kind of let that do the work for me. All right, time to give this beast a test. So about 1,600, take 4 from that, leaves us about 1,200. So right now at 1,200 ppms, says that once again, I will not be adding any more nutrients to this particular bucket right here. And that's because there's enough food in there to continue to feed the plant. And it's also all of my bloom nutrients. So going back, I think we're going into week 3 or week 4 with these, I'm not sure. But this is the same nutrients that was added to this reservoir from when I first switched it over to flower. And like I said, I don't change my reservoir out every week, because once again, it's kind of like I know that my nutrients are in there. I know that my plants are healthy, they're feeding well. If I come in, if I see any yellowing out or something that shows sign of stress, I'll go back in and kind of reevaluate my bucket over here, my reservoir, making sure that the ppms are good, it's not suffering from any food nutritions or anything like that, making sure that the pH is still pretty balanced in there, which I'm going to be checking here pretty quick. But all right, the infamous pH. Look at pretty good to me. So, as of now, go ahead and get you sealed on back up. You are a wrap. Time to move on to the next. Alright. Now that I got my clippers all cleaned back up and sanitized, what I'm going to be doing here is, if you look down in here, if you can see this one, how it falls under the net, that's all I'm going to be taking. And then I'll just be tossing those over there until I get around to cleaning up. But just going after some of this undergrowth that I got going on in here. It's not going to be a lot of cleanup on this one, just due to the fact that she's been hacked and chopped and cut to death. So, or should I say, the plant has been hacked and chopped and so I did go a little bit, I guess you could say, overboard on this one with the cleaning, the defoliaging of it, but it's okay because, like I said, the plant is still going to be a producer. You know, I got to get away from calling these plants girls. I think YouTube don't like that expression, and this can be interpreted as, you know, something else. So I keep correcting myself every time I say one word. I correct it with the right word, so that way I can get these videos out there. And all I'm gonna be doing to this one over here is just kind of the same thing, just going through, removing some of the shade branches, making sure that, you know, as much light, because like I said, you can see this is just one big, you know, you can see how the structure of it is down here. It's just gonna be just one clump of a nug going on over there, and that kind of lets me know what the rest of this plant is going to do and how it's going to grow. So all I want to do is just keep as much light penetrating down into the plant as I can, guarantee that the structure and everything on the plant does well. We're coming through here clipping off some of this under stuff, so that way nutrients can really be supplied to where they're needed the most. But like I said, the upside of this one over here is that because it already took such an extreme defoliaging already, the cleaning process of this one is pretty easy. I'm surprised one of the dogs ain't came in here and started snatching these little plants out of here. And like I said, I want to go through, I want to make sure that I'm not doing too much defoliaging as far as these leaves go, because once again, these leaves are what's going to be, because these leaves are going to be absorbing a lot of that light energy. So you want to make sure that you leave enough on here to make sure that, you know, the plant still remains healthy and does what it needs to do. Alright, got both of these topped off. Check in on some PPMs. See where we riding at. So that's 1600 minus that 4 brings us at about 1250. Not too shabby. 1700. That one's still running a little bit high, but I'm gonna go ahead and let it ride. So for my plants that's outdoors and veg, I'm gonna be adding 20 milliliters per gallon of just micro. And there it is in a nutshell. Everything out here has now been properly watered, and as I say, time will be our judge on how everything does out here. Like I said, I did the 218 Grow Guy here. Well, I got all my plant maintenance done a little bit early, so I decided I'm gonna get out and enjoy around the golf on a beautiful windy day like we got today. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. About to go power off on this little par 3, nothing special.